Hi everybody. I want to take you on a tour of this week's module because there's a lot of things here, so I want to make sure that you're checking everything out. First of all, you're going to read chapter 6, which is a fairly lengthy chapter, but it has a lot of information, brief snippets about a lot of things. I'm going to do a quick summary of that when I finish this, so there'll be another video posted under this first one on chapter 6. And then it's important, I think, for us to understand Maine standards. And now Maine standards include the Common Core state standards for English language arts and mathematics. And many other states have adopted that as well. So if you're not in the state of Maine, you're somewhere else, part of this will pertain to you anyway. But it's going to be important for us to understand those standards. It also is important for us to understand the Smarter Balance assessment. There are two consortia out there in the United States that have developed assessments aligned with Common Core state standards. One is the Smarter Balance Consortium. The other one is PARCC, P-A-R-C-C, and I can't recall exactly what those stand for, but there are two consortia who are working independently to develop these assessments that can or cannot be, or may not be adopted by states. It is not a national test. It is not sanctioned by the government in terms of funding it, although the federal government has tied a fair amount of funds to standards-based assessment. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then I've given you a bunch of links, and that could give you more, but I only want to give you a sampling. I want you to be aware of the conversations around the implementation and or support of Common Core state standards and those that are against it. And if you read the newspapers in the state of Maine, you may have read that there's some pushback on some of these things, and I've given you some of those pushbacks down here in terms of what's been happening lately in terms of standards. It's law, it's going through, but there is a move to get it on the ballot for November, and I'd like you to read about those. Nationally, Stan Karp from Rethinking Schools, which is a Seattle-based group who very much are in favor of social justice curricula, are very much against Common Core state standards and the implications that come with that. Diane Ravitch, who is a professor of education at the at Columbia University in New York City, originally was very much for standards and testing. In fact, she was a deputy commissioner of education under the first President Bush. She's made a complete turnaround on this after seeing what's happened in this testing culture under NCLB, and she has now come out against standards. She's come out against many of the reform movements that are out there that you read about last week. And so I've given you an NPR interview with Diane Ravitch. Her new book is called Reign of Error. I've just started reading it, and it's really, really fascinating. I'm really enjoying reading it. She also wrote another text called, I'm not going to remember it now. It's something about the destruction of, oh well, I can't remember. Anyway, you'll see it when you click on there. But then there's been an awful lot of support for these too, so I want to make sure we get both sides of the picture here. So I've given you a link that's people and groups who are supporting these. I'd like you to read it critically and see who are the groups who are supporting the standards. And then NEA, the National Education Association, has come out in support of it as well. Actually, they did a poll where it shows that a majority of educators support this, so I'd like you to look at that as well. And then there's a general article from the Huffington Post about the pushback on standards, and then there's a WCSH 6 article about Maine, and there's two articles about Governor LePage's weigh-in on these that I'd like you to look at. So there's a lot there to look at. And then for your discussion group this week, this is a link to a Smarter Balance practice test that I'd like you to take. It's not a full-blown test, it's just a part of a test, and you're not going to get a score. But I think it's really useful to see what our children will be sitting for in the coming year. It's being piloted this year in some schools, and then next year it will be the yearly state-reported assessment for our schools. So I want you to try that. I'm going to take you there in a little bit and show you how to access it. And then, believe it or not, we're at our second RAPS. This went very, very quickly. So, on the 16th, your second RAPS is due. So make sure that you're looking carefully at that section at the end of part 2 and deciding which one you want to do this time. All right, I'm going to take you back up here, and I'm going to click on Main Standards. This is going to take us to, I hope anyway, if it's linked correctly, yay, it is, to the Maine Department of Education Standards. Okay, and so Maine provides standards for 8 content areas: career and education development, English language arts, health education and physical education, mathematics, science and technology, social studies, visual and performing arts, and world languages. Excuse me, we hear an awful lot about English language arts and math because those are the Common Core state standards. The next generation science standards are going to be coming as we move forward. And there's also early childhood, there's career and technical education. The Common Core state standards are now part of the Maine learning results. They've replaced the English language arts and the math. So when we talk about Maine standards, Common Core is part of those standards. I'm going to click on the Maine learning results to take you there so you can see how to navigate this. These were constructed in 2007 with some adaptations since then. You can go to the complete one here. You can look at supporting materials. I'm not asking you to do that for this class. I'm just asking you to look generally at this. The learning results are entitled Parameters for Essential Instruction. Notice the word parameters, okay, which is an interesting choice of words. In other words, parameters there's some leniency there. There's not strict borders. That these are the overarching standards. There are guiding principles, and there are 5, and you can read them there. I don't need to read them for you. Each one is fleshed out in the PDF or the RTF, and you may look at that if you'd like. And then here you have the complete document, a summary. So this breaks it down for you into each one of the standards. So if you're going to be a social studies teacher, it would be good for you to look at the social studies standards. If you're going to be a math teacher, it would be good to look at those as well. So there's that. There's also some cross-content connection here, so there's quite a few materials. And these are supporting materials. So to these, you can see there's a ton of information here. You do not have to read all this. I just want you to know where to find these things. In future methods courses, when you're constructing lesson plans, you'll need to know about these standards. You'll need to know how to access them. You'll need to know how to use them and how to understand the language. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back, and I'm going to click on the Common Core State Standards because this is now part of those standards I just looked at, but it's also fleshed out here. It'll be important for you to really understand these as well. This is what all the controversy is about. That's out there on the Common Core. I'm going to click on English Language Arts and take you there just so you can see what you get when you get there. Here we have the page. Here's a statewide literacy plan. Standards and instruction, assessment, and so forth. So I'm going to click on standards and instruction, and we find here they are, the Common Core. One thing you should know about the Common Core state standards for English language arts is that it's not just for English language arts. It's for literacy in history, social studies, and science and technical subjects. Technical subjects is AKA math. So these standards, these literacy standards, are for all content area teachers, and these are grades 6 through 12. I'm going to click on this to take you there so you can see that it's quite extensive. You can look at the complete. I'm at home, my dog's barking. I'm going to apologize for that right off. Getting started, and so forth and so on. Hold on, I'll pause this while the dogs bark. Okay, I'm back. The dog's finished barking. So you can see that it's quite extensive here, and so spend some time with this. You don't have to read every single link. That would, that's beyond the scope of this course. But it's important to understand these and know about them. Okay. I do want to take you to. Let's see if I can get there. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to actually open this up so you can see what it looks like. So these are the Common Core state standards, and I'm going to click on this because this is where I really want us to look at these. Let's see if I can get it to open up here. Well, for some reason it doesn't want to open for me, so I'm going to go back here. And okay, so let me try that again. try it again. And let's see. I think this is what I need to do. Navigating these sometimes is crazy. Well, it took me right back to where I was to begin with. So let's see what I can do here. All right. Okay, oh, I see I have to go to the grades. All right, so I'm just going to go to grade 6A. All right, I'm sorry about that. All right, so these are English Language Arts standards for History and Social Studies grades 6 through 8. So these are, see how these work? So the idea that in terms of literacy, being able to cite specific textual evidence and so forth and so on. So take some time to look at these. Again, it's complicated, but it's important. We need to know about these things. All right, I'm going to take us back to our DOE page. Okay. And then we also have the math. I don't want it to just look at English. I want to look at the math too. So we go to math, and we'll see here it is the math page and standards and instruction. And this will take you again to the Common Core State Standards for mathematics. And again, it's broken down into links and so forth and so on. You can read it online here. You can see you have the grades going up. We'll look at grade 8 just for the, let's look at grade 6 actually. Notice in grade 6 we have expressions and equations. This is early algebra, okay? So it's important that we think about the kinds of more rigorous math that is going to be required of our students. Okay. So that's the Common Core State Standards, and that's where you find them. So spend a little time looking at them and thinking about them. And I'll get us back to our Blackboard page here, hopefully. Okay. All right. Now, Smarter Balanced Assessment. This is the consortia who is creating this test that will be, you can see that 2014-15 will be the first school year. And this is a pilot year in the state of Maine. It's administered through computer adaptive testing. Okay, so you want to explore that a little bit. And this gives you the layout of it. It's a summative assessment that's administered in the last 12 weeks of school. Okay, so it's a 12-week window that students can take this. It has two parts, the computer adaptive part, and there are performance tasks that will be taken on a computer but will not be computer adaptive. Okay, so read through this and get a sense of what this will look like. Okay, all right. And down here you can see the specifications. These are the content and so forth. These are task specific. You can look at some of these. These are some items from tests that will help you to think about this. For instance, let's take a look at English Language Arts Literacy. These are some items. Don't print these out. These are very long documents, okay? And this gives you all the layout and all the criteria for these things, okay? So you can see there's a tremendous amount of material to wade through here. Think about what this is like for teachers who are navigating this. And this is going to be you, all right? Okay, so you've got the link to Maine Standards, and you've got the link to the Smarter Balanced Assessment to spend some time looking at these, okay? And then I ask you the question of who decides on curriculum. These standards and these assessments they insist that they are not dictating curriculum, they're dictating outcomes. What the curriculum looks like to get to those outcomes will be up to individual schools, districts, and teachers. So we'll see how that all plays out. Now, I do want to show you how to navigate this. I had a couple of people ask me this week, they were jumping the gun on this week. So to do the Smarter Balance practice test, the link is right here under Give It a Try. You click on it, it'll take you to this page, all right? Gives you some information about it, but here's where you're actually going to get a practice test. On the green box, you click on that, and I'm not using the right browser, but that's okay. And you don't have to sign in. This is a practice test. If you were a student taking this, you'd have to sign in, you'd have to put your ID in, and so forth and so on. For us, we're just going to sign in, all right? And once we sign in, it's going to ask us for a grade, okay? What grade? I'm going to pick grade 8, okay? I don't know why, I just decided you can pick any grade you want. And then I'll just say yes. And then I can choose which one I want to do, math or English. And I think I'm going to do English. So I click on that. My language is English, black and white. No text to speech. I'm fine with that. And I'm just going to select this. Okay. And it's going to say, do you want to start your test? And I'm going to say yes. Okay. Now it's going to give me test instructions. It's going to give me all these keyboard commands, and I'm going to skip all this because I really don't care about it. I mean, I suppose if I was taking it for real, I would, but it tells me how to navigate through this. But I'm just going to say, okay, I understand all this, and I'm going to start the test. It's not timed here for you. You can take as long as you want, so don't worry about that. So remember, this is 8th grade. And this is an English language arts. It's giving me this to read over here. It's quite a decent article to read. And then it's going to ask me some questions over here that I have to answer. Okay, quite a few. So having not read this, I'm going to just really quickly skim it and try to answer it here. With which statement would the author most likely agree that elephants... This is called the grad school skim. Okay, I'm going to say that learning about elephants can teach scientists about humans. Okay, and that's going to be my answer. I'm going to click that. And I don't know what this says, what these do. This says, gives you a tutorial, okay? This one, okay, so you can actually make a little notepad here. You can write on things. And this one, I guess that means that I've answered that one. Okay. All right. And so then I'm going to continue to do this, and I answer all the questions, and I go on to the next page. Okay. So I'm going to take us back here. So that's how you access it. And then, and because you don't get a score, you're not going to know how you did, but you're going to have a sense of how you felt you did. Maybe you might note how long it takes you to do it and what things that maybe gave you a little more trouble than others. And then think the mindset of, I just did one for 8th grade, a 13-year-old doing that. Or if you're going to do a younger one or an older one. So just want you to really get a feel of what this test looks like, and then to discuss it. So I think that's it. Just a nice little tour here. I'm not going to click on all these links. You can look at them at your leisure. But again, do spend a little time with the standards and the Smarter Balanced webpage, just to get a sense. Don't have to read every single word, but just have a sense of what this looks like. And if you have questions, then ask those questions in the forum. Okay, or make comments in the forum. I'll be really interested to read what you have to say this coming week, because I think this is really an important topic and a somewhat controversial topic. Okay, so thanks so much, and I'll be talking to you soon.